Fortunately for us in the arts sector, this time around, when the president decided to meet the press, we were invited. We're so happy, and commentary on social media proved that at least we've got a mention. Now we get there. We don't get a feature in the list of achievements. We don't get to ask questions as well. Now, as a deputy minister, we want to know what accounted for, because we've had other things accounting for, but from your perspective, what could have accounted for that?
I was surprised that for the many journalists who had an opportunity to ask a question, nobody asked a question about the entertainment industry. Well, I think maybe we should be asking those who asked questions why they didn't ask a question about entertainment. We didn't ask the questions. We were there available to answer questions. But like you said, nobody asked a question on entertainment, and I think it's fair to ask, the people who ask questions, why they didn't ask a question on entertainment.
Well, it won't be fair to ask the journalists because all of them were representing the various fields, and that's why, like I said initially, that we're happy that this time around we're given some, recognition. And I heard the minister call out people from certain regions. I thought that because we had been invited, maybe he would have been a bit biased calling us as well.
No, I think what happened was that the major gap we sought to cure was geographic representation. Journalists from all over the country. As to what subject area somebody wanted to ask, whether on the economy or on sports or on security or corruption, galamsey, you couldn't dictate that. You call the person and the person asks their question. So again, I'm curious as to why all of the journalists who had an opportunity to ask a question, nobody asked a question on entertainment.
Well, we still would go further with the arguments that these two, there were only two out of the lots of journalists that were there that represented the sector. They said they had raised their hands. They said that at a certain point they were told that they needed to have lobbied, to have been called to ask questions. And so, well,
by who?
Well, we don't know in there because the commentary is on social media.
We cannot be repeating what we can't validate.
Well,
we have to validate and then we repeat, because what we are doing is that we are publishing what we cannot
even
validate.
if it's out there, the news is out there, you cannot, come to say, no, it doesn't happen that way.
But that's why we are the journalists. So we validate and then we publish. We cannot publish what we've not validated. It is not true that people were asked to sit in business, sports, health, academic categories. So when you have a flood of hands that are raised and you are picking 4 or 5 or 6 at a goal, and as you heard the minister say he was going for a gender balance and a regional balance, you cannot predict the question the person will ask. If you are perhaps suggesting that maybe in the future we should segment to subject areas and say we're taking 3 economic questions, 2 entertainment questions, 2 sports questions, that's a suggestion you can table. But if you ask us why we didn't have an entertainment question asked, with the greatest of respect, we were not the ones asking the questions.
Well, with the greatest of respect too, you didn't give everybody a fair opportunity to ask their questions. So maybe
not every journalist in the room had an opportunity to ask a question, and it is the truth with every press conference everywhere in the world. Every press conference everywhere in the world is not every journalist who has an opportunity to ask a question. I got conversations later with my friends from TV3, my friends from the Western region. Even when we tried to do regional balance, our friends from the Western region didn't get an opportunity to ask a question. Our friends from the Ashanti region said, as populous a region as they were disappointed that only one person had an opportunity. So not everybody will get an opportunity, but you will hope that the few who get the opportunity will ask questions that are representative of what's on the heart and the mind of the broader Ghanaian society. So again, I suggest to you that we should talk to ourselves as journalists so that when we get the opportunity, we ask the questions that, represent the broader Ghanaian society. But also for those who have the opportunity, maybe they are the ones we should be asking.
Well, so you think that you do not owe the creative sector an apology, that for the first time, in quotes, for the first time, you invite us and you don't give us, some prominence, or you don't give us some, advantage over the others who have always been there.
We did not seek to give anybody an advantage. For every journalist.
Well, to some extent you did, because you said gender balance. You called out people. People were called out. So it was based on the person's preference to have called out the people he called.
Every journalist who was there who did not get an opportunity to ask a question which they deem as very important, we are sincerely sorry. But as you know, that is the nature of press conferences. Not everybody in the room will get an opportunity to ask a question. So if you didn't get an opportunity and other people got the opportunity but didn't ask the question that you were hoping they would ask, we're sorry you didn't get the opportunity. We would look forward to more suggestions on how to perhaps do it in a way that makes it, more equitable or more satisfying to you. But I think that what we have done is good, is commendable. We can build on it.
We appreciate. Also, we think that you have neglected the sector. Yes, you've invited us for this press conference. Consistently, we have monitored that whenever there's a major briefing, talk about the budget, I'm talking about the 2018 budget being read that was read last year, we're highlighted in Parliament.
The Ministry of
Tourism, Arts and Culture,
yes, was not highlighted in the budget.
Parliament. In Parliament.
Was not highlighted
in the budget. We were there, but in Parliament, we don't seem to feel like we're given the necessary recognition, considering the fact that we rallied behind you. We went on your platforms with you.
I'm happy to note that you have considered that it was, or the industry was taken care of in the budget. Mm-hmm. You are saying that in the future, on the floor of Parliament, it should be highlighted as well.
Yeah.
I think that's good feedback.
Okay. And also, today, we had the major achievements. Is it that there's nothing for us? We didn't hear any achievements?
Today, the President didn't go through the exhaustive list of all the things. Even for the few that he highlighted, you have heard criticism that he spoke for too long, that he shouldn't have spoken at all and just taking questions. Whatever you do, you will get some criticism. But again, if you are giving us feedback that in the future we should include in the highlights what's happening in the creative industry, I think it's fair. The President has demonstrated a lot of commitment to the industry since he came. Sometimes...
Well, that's why we are concerned, because he said a lot to show that he's committed, but we haven't felt it. So talk about the Marine Drive. We just had the launch recently. The many things that he said, one theater, one region, one theater, blah, blah, blah. It is looking like, the promises are enormous, but the delivery is very, very slow.
No, I'm not sure you're expecting all of it to be completed in the first year, if I may answer your question. Mm-hmm. In this first year, as we have said over and over again, the nature of the economic challenge that we have inherited requires that we spend some time restoring stability and at the same time launching a number of initiatives that we have promised. We cannot fulfill the full list of, or the exhaustive list of initiatives in every sector in 1 year. So you would touch maybe one here, one year in the first year. In the second year, you add on to it. In the industry that you talk about, you have just conceded that the Marine Drive project has been launched and it's supposed to go on. In education, we have started off with free SHS with the first years and we are moving in the second year. If you go to health, we have started off by clearing the arrears of NHIA, now to move to the next phases. If you go to security, we are starting off with the retooling of the security agencies. We can't finish all the security solutions in 1 year. So we will do that which the resource envelope of the country allows us to do in the first year, and we'll build on it as the years go by.
Some of the things that you said, especially with education, with health, are very tangible. I'm looking at when we get to benefit from the Marine Drive. Is it satisfactory that we would have to wait all this while? What else would we have to prove that, this is something that we called for, we asked for change, we are benefiting from it? People are hungry.
For example, in agriculture, when you decide
That's not a sector where I belong to.
Don't worry. But I'm giving you an example.
Because my people will still be worried about their sector.
Don't worry. I'm saying that, for example, in agriculture, the day you launch planting for food and jobs and you provide seeds and fertilizer is not the day on which the results will be accruing to everybody in the value chain. It will take a gestation period and the results will come up. There are some industries that on the very first day, people have benefits. There are some industries where there is, may I say, a lead time or a gestation period before you see the benefits. The important thing, in my opinion, is have we shown faith, started some significant work in that industry? If we have, I think what we have to do is to encourage and resource the government to continue on what it has started, but not to create the impression as though nothing has happened in that industry. You have just told me what has happened in your industry, only that you are saying that you can realize that it will take a while for it to bear fruit. I think it's a good thing. We should encourage and invest more into it so that the results bear fruit as quickly as possible.
Is that to say that we are in a hurry to see things materialize? Is that what it is? Because
the president himself is in a hurry.
Well, and
so
amazingly,
it's good for all of us to be in a hurry.
It's not reflecting, because I wrote an article. I said that the musician, the up and coming musicians, the young ones are getting frustrated, the old ones are getting weary, and we don't know where to turn to anymore, because we thought that once this changed, things would happen that swift. So I'm saying to you that is it that we are in a hurry and we are even maybe going ahead of the president?
I'm saying that even if in your words you are in a hurry, it is a good thing. The president himself is in a hurry. The nature of the challenge that we face as a country is so huge that it is right for us to be in a hurry to turn them around. But while it is right for us to be in a hurry to turn them around, we must also not pretend that absolutely nothing is happening. We must look to the initial gains that have been made and encourage ourselves, cheer ourselves on to run faster and meet that hurry in which we are.
Last question. Do you think that all those musicians, the movie stars, and the celebs in quotes that rallied behind your government, saw you through your campaigns, are excited about what is going on?
You would have to tell me.
They are not.
Okay. And they are not because?
Because, like I've been saying all this while, they need to see something and they are not seeing it.
But you have just told me the work that has started
No,
in the
that's
industry.
a long-term, the result, because I'm telling you, for the movie stars.
Can I answer?
Okay.
You have just told me work that has started in your industry, okay? And you are telling me that while the work has started and you think it's good work, you are of the view that some things must happen faster because people are hungry. I'm saying that's good feedback. But we should not create the impression as though the industry has been abandoned totally. Because, no, but that's why you are in the media. You have an opportunity to examine not just what people are saying, but the full breadth of issues and say that, yes, it is true that maybe, you know, you want XYZ to happen tomorrow morning. But look at the nature of the challenge that we're having to run. And we've moved from -3, for example, to 1. We've crossed the 0 mark, we're at 1. We are not at the 300 where you are expecting, but we have seen a move. Let us encourage, let us invest in moving a bit more. I think that you as a journalist, privy to all the facts, that is what you are able to do. We are all allowed to be in a hurry, but you have the responsibility to examine all the facts and tell us what you are seeing in the total picture.
And so in a nutshell, you think that these people should be satisfied with your work so far?
No, I think that government has started well across sectors, including your industry, as you yourself has just told me this evening. And I think that we should encourage and resource government to do more.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.